Hi, it's Greg Hurrell here with another Vim screencast, and today I want to talk again about sending email using Vim in conjunction with Mutt. This is a follow-up to some screencasts I recorded a little while back. And one of the questions I got was, how do you live without HTML email? So let's talk about HTML email today. There are two aspects that I want to cover. One is how do you read it, and the other is how do you send it. So let's cover reading it first. I've got some Twitter notifications here. Let's have a look at one of them that I've already seen. This is an HTML email. If we look at the actual contents, you can see it's a multi-part alternative, which means that it has a plain text and an HTML part. And the one that we see by default is the plain text one, which may or may not be readable depending your standards. I find it kind of okay. One problem with this email is that if I hold down the command key here and hover over the links, you'll see here that iTerm is only highlighting part of it. It's not actually recognizing that the link breaks across two lines. So if I wanted to click on that, it might not work. There's a tool called URL View that I've integrated that I hit a binding /U, and then I've got access to all the links here. And I can go to any one of them just by hitting enter. So if I want to go to that one, it says, yeah, you want to go to that one? I go, yeah, I want to go to that one. And there I go to that one. So let's go back here. The other thing I might want to do is look at it in terms of the HTML part. So let's do that. If we look at the alternate part here, it'll go from the default, which is plain text, to the next one, which is HTML. And you can see here that it's using elinks, which is a text-based web browser, to render the HTML. And it tries to maintain some aspects of the spatial layout, as you can see. So let's compare this to the actual HTML as it would be rendered in the browser. So I'm going to put this on one side here, and I'm going to open the HTML version in the browser, which, as you saw, was only a couple key presses. So it's pretty easy to get out of Mutt and into the world of the browser when you need to. But that's what it looks like in the browser. And so if we compare these two, you can see that this has tried to conserve the spatial relationships a little bit and note where the images are. We have the same issues with links not necessarily being recognized as they split across lines, but once again we can use URL View to go to any one of those that we care about. I don't actually care to go to any of them because usually in a situation where I would click a link, what I've probably done is gone to this list and gone, hey, show me the HTML, and I'm looking at it in the browser. So that covers the reading HTML side. Let's talk about the writing HTML side. So I'm going to send a message to myself. It's going to be test. Of course, it's going to be test. Let's just put some text in there. As I mentioned in a previous screencast, I used long lines here because then Vim is going to use quoted printable encoding, which is going to look nice on the iPhone and pretty much every phone instead of having ugly hard wraps. And it will look decent in Mutt as well. So let's copy myself on, well, I'm actually already going to get this. So let's just, oops. Oh, God. I'm going to have to blank that out because I don't want to leak my address book to the internet. So anyway, I have this thing that I'm going to send. This is just going to be plain text. So let's send that. Now I'm going to send a similar message, but using HTML. So let's go back, to where I was. Which Greg Hurrell shall I use? I think I'll use that one. Another test. So I have something set up where if I prefix or suffix and message with this bang M, that's short for markdown, it's going to treat the body as markdown and turn it into a multi-part message with both a plain text part and an HTML part. So it could be, Dear Greg, that was really good. So this is a block quote. Here is a list. And I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it anyway. Here is some code. I don't know if I've ever done this before, so it will be interesting to see what happens. So we're going to send this one too. And there it goes. So let's have a look at what these look like in Gmail. So I'm going to go back to my trusty browser here. I'm going to have to blank out the screen again because I'm not very good at hiding things that should be hidden. So let's have a look at the plain text one. As you can see, it looks nice in Gmail. It would look nice on a phone too. And I think, because I don't use Gmail much anymore, can't remember what the shortcuts are, but you can see this is what it's sent as. It has the text in there. It's just using ASCII. It didn't actually use quoted printable, which surprises me a little bit. But in any case, let's go to this HTML one. And there you go. We had code formatting, we have a bulleted list, and we have normal text. I'm not sure why this is indented inside the block quote. Oh, I think I understand. This is how block quotes are formatted. There's just no visible thing there. Oh well. Let's have a look at the original of this. So here we have multi-part, as you can see. We've got our plain text. So this is what it's going to look like to somebody in Mutt who's just looking at the plain text version. And here's the HTML that was generated. So let's have a quick look at that in Mutt as well. So I'm going to go to my inbox, which is right here. So here's the plain text one, which, as we already saw, is quite readable. Here's the multi-part one. Because I previously toggled to look at things in HTML, we're seeing the elinks rendered version of the HTML, but let's go back to plain text, which is what I would usually see, and that's quite readable. So with this setup, I'm super happy with how things look on phones, in Gmail, and in Mutt. So I'm pretty happy with what sent mail looks like. Let's go and have a look at how this is done. So somewhere in here, I've got an MSMTP thing. So as I said in a previous screencast, I am sending email using another process called MSMTP. But what I'm doing is I'm wrapping it in a call to this MSMTP Ruby script that I made that basically uses the pandoc executable to turn Markdown into HTML. And it operates whenever it finds these bang M markers, either at the beginning or the end of the message. And the details are quite inconsequential, but basically it just reads from standard in, potentially encodes the message, and then delivers it by shelling out to the real MSMTP process. So Pandoc and MSMTP are both installed via Homebrew because I'm on Mac OS. MSMTP is there, as is, what's the other thing I said? Pandoc, that's there. So that's how those got there. And in terms of how this is invoked, MSMTP RB, I can't remember where I have to find it, and it's not in there. So it must be under Mutt settings, maybe. MSMTP. We're gonna find this eventually. I know we are. Hooks. That would be it. So I've got some hooks set up here, which, as you can see, the send mail hook basically just makes sure that I've got a gem file in the environment because I want to use a fixed version of the SMTP gem, and then calls that Ruby script that I wrote. And we have a couple of profiles here. We have a home profile and a work profile. But I'll put links to this in the show notes. Hopefully that is enough to get you started if you feel inspired to read and send email with Mutt. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back on another day with another screencast.